After watching this video, you will never hold in your hands a mobile phone without this device. Mobile phones are a part of our daily lives today. In almost all countries, more than half the population uses mobile phones. People don't realize that these phones can cause severe health problems if you don't protect yourself from radiation. Yes, all mobile phones emit radiation, known as electromagnetic field radiation, or EMF radiation. Make sure you watch until the end to find out how to protect yourself and your family from the mobile phone's EMF radiation. Everyone is now using mobile phones. Even children and older kids now have phones. They will use them to watch TV, play games, make phone calls, send text messages to their friends, and spend most of their time on social media in this new generation. Some platforms, such as TikTok, keep everyone glued to their screens. They don't know that by being glued to their screens, they are taking in a lot of EMF radiation. As we all know, mobile phones have low-powered radio frequency coming from them. At the same time, they are also receiving these frequencies from mobile phone network antennas. Mobile phones operate at about 450 and 2700 MHz frequencies, with their peak powers in the range of 0.1 to 2 watts. You may think that since it is a phone, it will only transmit power when it is on. However, it is constantly transmitting, even when it is in sleeping mode. This is because of the inbuilt antennas, which always receive signals and frequencies for direct communication. The exposure has less impact as the distance increases. This means that a person who uses a mobile phone between 30 and 40 centimeters away from their body when sending a text or accessing the internet will have much lower exposure to radio frequency fields than someone holding the handset against their head. But with modern technology, the radiation is always passing even through your hands. No matter the case, anytime you are using a phone, you are always receiving EMF radiation. For a long time now, many concerns have been raised by the scientific community about cell phone safety. One of the major concerns is cancer. However, when you think about how cancer takes between 10 and 20 years to develop, and children's frequent cell phone use is something new and recent, it leaves you with more questions than answers. But to answer these questions, several studies have examined the impact of cell phone radiation. We are going to look at children first. According to a study that was published in 2018, it was discovered that a child's brain absorbs about 2 to 3 times more radiation than that of an adult. This is especially true when a cell phone is positioned next to the ear or in front of the eyes while playing with virtual reality. To support that, an earlier study found that, in general and on average, children suffer a higher exposure of their brain regions than adults. This is because children have smaller heads and brains, yet they receive the same levels of cell phone radiation as adults. This has even been supported by the American Academy of Pediatrics, which says, when used by children, the average RF energy deposition is 2 times higher in the brain and 10 times higher in the bone marrow of the skull, compared with mobile phone use by adults. According to another study, people who start using cell phones before 20 years old are at an even higher risk of developing brain tumors than those who use them as adults. Experts argue that this is due to the proximity of the radiation source to the brain of children and the fact that children have thinner tissues and bones than adults. In addition to all that, being exposed to cell phones could affect the child's behavior. Children who were hyperactive or had emotional or behavioral problems, such as trouble getting along with other kids, were much more likely to have mothers who used cell phones when they were pregnant. However, this is one of the studies that cannot be confirmed. The child may misbehave because the mother uses her cell phone frequently during pregnancy or after the baby is born, which may lead to the mother paying less attention to their children. There was once a study published in the journal Helion where researchers systematically reviewed and analyzed articles highlighting the impact of harmful EMF radiation on physiological and pregnancy outcomes regarding the mother, birth, and child. During pregnancy, the female placenta is the one that facilitates an exchange of oxygen and nutrients between the tissues of the mother and the fetus. Because of this, any alterations in the mother's body can severely affect the fetus's growth and development. When a pregnant mother uses a cell phone, the EMF radiation from the phone can penetrate the fetal tissues and cause hormonal imbalances in the mother. Regarding the fetus, the radiation may cause thermal, anthropometric, and cardiovascular changes. Therefore, analyzing these radiation-induced damaging effects when it comes to physiological and pregnancy outcomes for the mother and the baby is essential. As we all know, cell proliferation, differentiation, and migration occur when the fetus is developing in the mother's womb. All these are processes that are pretty sensitive to radiation exposure. According to studies, if a pregnant mother is exposed to EMF radiation, there is a high risk of miscarriage, congenital disabilities, impaired brain development, and stillbirth. This is why a pregnant mother should avoid EMF radiation as much as possible, including from her mobile phone. It has been discovered that EMF radiation can also be linked to a higher risk of childhood obesity. This is because EMF radiation significantly impacts the function of various glands within the body. This is even worse when the endocrine-related glands are involved. These are the glands that are primarily responsible for most aspects of metabolism. Therefore, they can throw the entire body into chaos when they are not functioning accordingly. Some of these glands include the thyroid gland, the adrenal glands, and even the gonadal tissues. This significantly worsens for children and teenagers because they are more susceptible to this energy than adults. There are a lot of problems and complications that can arise because of EMF radiation. The one for mobile phones may be more harmful. This is not because they are stronger, but because everyone is more exposed to mobile phones in this modern world. Kids have phones when they are young, teenagers spend their time on TikTok and Instagram, and adults use them to watch sports or communicate with friends. No matter the case, you will be constantly exposed to a mobile phone at some point. But the more you are exposed, the more harmful it can get. There are specific ways you can protect yourself from excessive exposure to these EMF radiations. Using hands-free devices, which help keep mobile phones at a distance from the head and body during phone calls, helps reduce exposure. Most of the time, when using hands-free devices, you are probably using Bluetooth. Since Bluetooth also uses frequencies, you are still receiving EMF radiation. Therefore, even Bluetooth headsets or Bluetooth gadgets are not safe as well. Limiting the number and length of calls can also reduce this exposure. Another way to protect yourself from excessive exposure is by using the phone in areas with good reception. This is because in these areas, the phone is transmitting at reduced power. The most optimal way to protect yourself from harmful EMF radiation is to use EMF defense. It reduces radiation up to 99%, but will not interfere with your reception or interrupt your use. Just paste it and forget about it. It's that simple. With EMF defense, you can use your phone usually with no worries about EMF's effects on your body. This is the best thing you could do for yourself and your family to ensure you will have a healthy life and to ensure you are not too exposed to EMF radiation. Comment below why you need EMF defense the most and click the description link to win a free set of 3.